Welcome back to the channel today, guys. And I go back and forth on this question each week to myself, which is, what is my favorite show of this season? It flip-flops constantly between this and Hell's Paradise, and today is no different. Just wow, man. To think that this show could take Kana, who was a really, really obnoxious character in episode 1, and make her, I'd argue, probably the best character in this show we've seen so far, to me at least. How we could take the most immature character and make her the most mature, the person who's grown the most over these past 10 years. It's just crazy. This show is just so quality, guys. That's all I can say. And I'm so excited to talk about it today, genuinely. So let's just get straight into it, honestly, and talk about Oshi no Ko, episode 3 today, because it was another banger. So as our episode begins with a recap of our previous episode, we just hear Aqua say, my sister's trying for the performing arts, and I was worried about her, so I applied here as well. As Ruby's like, yeah, my brother's got a bit of a sister complex. He's kind of weird. As she whispers to Aqua, I never really liked this girl. She's kind of annoying. As Aqua tells her, you'll be her junior if you're accepted here, right? She's older than you are. As Ruby's just like, alright, I guess there's no point fighting it. Let's be friends, Lolly Senpai. Very perfect name, I have to admit. As Aqua just says, alright, well, you two have fun. I'm gonna go to the director's place now. I'll see you later. And it's here we see that Kana is omega levels of persistent as she follows him and keeps pestering him, asking him question after question. In pretty adorable ways, I have to admit. I can't lie about that. As Aqua eventually says, alright, look. How long are you gonna follow me for? As she says, until you answer all my questions, obviously, and then asks him, you're still doing acting, right? As he has to tell her, no, not anymore. But even after hearing that, she's still so persistent to try to talk to him, to kind of reconnect, if you will, showing just how much of an impression he left on her years ago. And she is aggressively persistent, guys. As even Aqua is taken aback. But she has a good reason, as she says, I don't have much of a choice but to be this way, alright? I'm still a celebrity, I can't just head to a coffee shop for a chat with someone. I'm gonna get bombarded. As Aqua says, alright, I get it then. I have a place for us to go then. And it's here he takes her to the director. As he says, man, I haven't seen you in so long. Look how much you've grown. Really hitting her where it hurts. And it's here as they kick their feet up and relax a bit. She asks Aqua, hey, if you're not an actor anymore, why are you always visiting the director? Isn't the truth that he's teaching you acting skills? As Aqua says, well, he did train me in the basics, but now I want to work behind the scenes, and I'm kind of like his assistant. As she says, well, I'm just glad to hear that you're still in the industry, doing something. Again, he left a really big impression on her, it seems. Even Aqua stops for a second after hearing that. But it's here as they take a break and start eating a bit. Again, with the director's mother, she says, wow, never figured you'd be sponging off your parents like a parasite, huh, director? As we see this man is sweating bullets. And I kind of love how she's constantly trying to mess with Aqua and make him break this stoic face of his. As she says, hey, director, do you, have any videos of him acting, by the way? As Aqua just says, don't you dare show her that. As he says, I wasn't thinking straight and would like to forget I ever did that. I was under the false impression I had talent. And the film's paid dearly for it. As the director adds, that's what he says at least, and tells Kana, if you want to see his acting, you'll have to talk him into acting again. And upon hearing this, she's just like, oh, challenge accepted. As she says, actually, there's this project I play the female lead in, and not all the roles are filled just yet. Want me to talk to higher ups and see what I can do? As Aqua instantly says no. But it's here she starts explaining what the show is, that it's a show called I'll Go With Sweet Today, a show based off of a shoujo manga. Aqua's interest is suddenly piqued. As she's just like, oh, you're interested now, huh? You know, if I put in a word, that part might be as good as yours. The producer, Kaburagi, has a soft spot for me, you know. But it's here in this moment, we start taking a more serious tone as Aqua says, wait, is the producer's full name Masaya Kaburagi? And after she says yes, he is shook. And it's here in this next scene, we're really going to see that Aqua's not in a good headspace at all right now, as he thinks to himself, you know, there were 3 mobile phones I left behind when she died. Among them was a work phone and a personal phone, and those only had communication logs with fellow group members and agency staff. Though I might have looked ditzy, I learned she was more careful than I imagined and spared no effort in protecting our secret. And it's here Aqua adds, my issue was the 3rd phone. It's one that I used before she ever became pregnant. It's a model from several generations ago, so finding the proper battery to replace the one that had died was no easy task. I'm sure most of y'all don't even know what it's like to have a flip phone. I guarantee it. As he adds, however, that couldn't even begin to compare to the effort needed to break the passcode. When input correctly, the phone locks for 30 seconds. I didn't even know how many digits long the code was. It took half a day just to try 100 passcodes. It took a month to try 1,000. And on my 45,510th attempt, we see that it finally worked. It took 4 long years to arrive at that passcode. The phone still had email and phone number details for a dozen some people with connections to show business. And among them was the name Masaya Kaburagi. And upon realizing that this man could have some knowledge about what happened to I, he says, reach out to the producer for me. I'll do it. And it's here as he's at home later that night. His family is shocked he took a role. As Aqua's just like, damn it, why'd you tell her that? As Mayako says, I mean, you weren't going to tell her, were ya? Kinda had to. As Ruby says, well, Mom did say that one day maybe I'd be an idol and you'd be an actor. I see you haven't forgotten that after all. As he thinks to himself, no, that's not it. I just want to get closer to that producer I interacted with back when she was alive and collect even a single hair root of his. Fulfilling I's wish? Yearning to be an actor? I don't have such lofty ambitions. Aqua is a very deeply troubled character. As someone with the mentality of an adult like him, he should recognize what trauma is. Because boy, does he have a lot of it. But it's here we see that while we're on the subject of him being an actor, they actually look up the show to get a good idea of what it's going to be like. As Mayako says, it's a drama produced by a recently established internet TV station that's going to have 6 episodes in total, and 3 of which have already been released. Even the main cast is mostly made up of new actors, and it seems the production is a bit on the smaller side. Apparently, Aqua will play a villain who shows up in the final episode. How unbelievably fitting. Ruby even says, you're perfect for that. You've got a sinister looking face after all. As Mayako adds, since it's an internet streaming show, we can watch it right now. And it's here as they do that, and they end up watching a part of an episode of the show. Ruby's just brutal about it. She says, this is downright awful. As Mayako says, you know, when you pack 14 manga volumes into half a TV season, it's inevitable they're gonna cut some of the story. Yo, anime fans know that pain so well. Let me tell you guys that. Y'all know. As she even adds, it seems many of the show's actors have no prior experience as well. They all suck. And it's here as we transition to the next scene, as Aqua actually is telling Kana what Ruby said. She gets so heated, like, yo, shut the hell up. She really said that? Your sister can drop dead. As Aqua says, oh, I see you still have your foul mouth after all. Some things never change. But it's here as Aqua asks her why it's so bad. Like, why? She's talented. Why is this so bad? She tells him, this TV drama is meant to target the female demographic that's in the good-looking guys. So they're featuring a bunch of models they want to start promoting. This kind of stuff happens all the time in shows, guys, even over here in America. Acting ability is a secondary concern with this project. But if they went ahead and only focused on that, the show would be a bust. Which is why they cast me, someone known for her acting chops, as a female lead. As Aqua adds, you know, even considering that, your acting's not on point in this though, is it? Meaning that, if that's the case, why are you not good in this? As Kana claims that, you know, I'm holding back, obviously. Everyone up there on screen with me is a ham actor. I'm the only one in the main cast who can act worth a damn. As we can see, she's still so humble, guys. As she adds, just imagine if I gave it my all around people like this. Their bad acting would stand out as ham-fisted to the point it'd be like a ham roast. And I don't know about y'all, I'm kind of hungry now. I wonder why. And it's here we start getting a little more serious as she says, I'd like to put everything into my acting, you know? Who would enjoy going out of their way to act poorly? But good acting and creating a good show are different things entirely. A sad truth of the industry, unfortunately. As she says, no doubt, right from the planning stages, the seller's viewpoint has been overly prioritized. There's no way this can be an entertaining show for people. When the author of the source manga visited the set for the filming of episode 1, her look of disappointment was hard to bear. Now, I can wholeheartedly believe this, guys. You put your blood, sweat, and tears into something that you want to make and created with your own hands, and you give it to these people to adapt, and they run that shit into the ground. I can imagine just the feeling of heartbrokenness you would feel from that. And that happens in the industry on a daily basis, unfortunately. As Kana adds, but the actors and behind-the-scenes staff each gave it their all, because we wanted to create a good show for all the viewers and fans of the manga so far as we possibly could. At the very least, I want to make it watchable for people. And to accomplish that, I'll do lousy acting if necessary. As Aqua says, even if that means diminishing your reputation as an actor. But it's here we see just how much Kana's grown, as she says, for an actor, it's communication skills that are important. The old me flaunted her acting ability. It's true I was able to sell, but I treated others like they didn't exist. Which is why job offers dried up in the blink of an eye once I was past my peak. Again, another very sad reality for an actor. There were kids who were better actors than me, so I had to give people a reason to cast me despite that. I'm now an actor who's easy to work with, as I strive to contribute to the quality of a production without being bent on getting my way. As Aqua says, wow, I see you actually learned how to cooperate at some point. Crazy world we live in. And it's here as they start talking about the project, and she's just going through the awful schedule they have. Aqua's just like, man, your schedule is kind of trash on this show too, huh? As he says, man, I got the part via contract and I'm skipping the read-through. I guess this is nothing new for me. As he says, when I did the same thing as a little kid, you really chewed me out back then, didn't you? As she's just like, oh, the memories. As Kana says, to think I'm the one who got you cast this time. I guess I've really turned into a despicable person, huh? But then she adds, now though, I understand how the director felt back then. Meaning that she too can see the immense potential that Aqua truly has, that he's not taking advantage of. As she adds, by now, you get why I asked you to take part in this, don't you? As she says, it doesn't matter who trashes me or calls me a lousy actor. Please, work with me to make a good show. With you on board, I believe it's possible. As we see that Aqua is taken aback by her straightforwardness, and I love it personally. And it's here as we transition to our next scene, and we see Aqua's going over the details and realizing that this is a hopeless project with a cast of actors who can't act. But then he adds, still, after listening to Kana and taking a fresh look at this script, I can see that the script and direction have been adapted to suit the actors. As he realizes this show's production crew is excellent. In addition, the female lead is an immensely talented actor. As he says, there just may be a way to pull this off after all. And it's here as we transition to the set of this drama. We're going to start breaking down what happens behind the scenes, which I find really cool, honestly, personally, as we hear, with TV dramas, the lead actors gather in a room and do a read-through and rehearsal. And based on that, the chief director or director creates the storyboard. Then there's an on-location, off-camera rehearsal, camera rehearsal, and full run-through before the actual filming starts. As Kana says, I heard we could only secure this location for 1 day. So everything from the off-camera rehearsal to the full run-through is being combined into a single rehearsal. Which typically is not that good of a thing. That means that's very rushed. As Aqua even adds, that's pretty sloppy, honestly. Even my director is more thorough than that. And it's here in this scene we meet one of the other stars of this show, as Aqua tries to introduce himself to him, but he just completely blows him off like a frickin' douchebag. As Aqua even says, that guy's got a really bad attitude. He didn't even introduce himself to me. He didn't have the common courtesy to even do that. As Kana says, well, he's a young actor as well. It's pretty common for rising stars to be that way. Total frickin' douchebags. As she realizes, wait, I kind of just bashed myself with that, huh? But it's here in this moment, we see Aqua suddenly comes face to face with the man he's looking for himself, Masaya Kuraragi. As he says, Masaya Kaburagi, a man who had some kind of connection to Ai Hoshino. A man who may be Mai and Ruby's biological father and who may have been involved with Ai's death. As Aqua says, I need to look for a chance to collect a sample I can run a DNA test on. But it's here in this moment, it's time to start a rehearsal. As Aqua says, so I play a stalker who follows the female lead around. What kind of sick irony of fate is this? To end up portraying a stalker like the man who killed Ai. That's some sick joke. But it's here as we start the rehearsal and we see Aqua in action. We see that Kana is still captivated by his acting skills to this day. Because as they take a break from a scene, she even tells him, your acting's just fine. What's this I prefer to work behind the scenes nonsense? As Aqua says, oh, this is a role anyone could have played if they practiced. It's not a big deal at all. I'm not so lousy that I hinder others, but I don't exhibit any charm either. As he tells her, if you're looking for terrific acting from me, I'm sorry. As she tells him, well, I'd be lying if I said I had no expectations from you at all. But you did enough. Your acting feels like that of someone who's put in the work for a long time, and I personally like it. The little techniques you use are considerate and meticulous. It's like you've set your ego aside and thrown yourself into the story. But I guess ordinary people wouldn't realize that, would they? as we realize that this really means a lot to her. Like, she's done this her whole life, put everything into it. I'm really liking Kana, guys, like a lot. As she adds, I'm in a lead role for the first time in a decade. So it's a big job to me, and you better believe I'm gonna give it my all. As Aqua even says, yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't seen you at all lately. I'm surprised you were still acting. Really hitting her where it hurts, man. Like, damn, burn. As she says, my rough patch might have lasted a while. I couldn't get any work, and people online treated me like my career was over. Another very true, bittersweet thing that happens. But I kept on training. Even I didn't know what I was putting in all that effort for, and the thought of retiring kept crossing my mind. But I'm finally being recognized for my abilities now. I'm so glad I didn't call it quits. As she gives him just the most radiant smile possible. As she adds, I was happy just to see that you're continuing this line of work. In this world shrouded in darkness, I learned there was someone who'd been struggling along with me. That alone is enough for me. And guys, again, I love Kana. What a positive mindset in a very unpositive work environment. But it's here in this next scene, we get the cold, hard reality of the situation. As the director's talking about Kana, as he says, Kana, huh? She's easy to work with and nice to have around. She does a great job flattering just about everyone, so she's great to appoint for whatever random role. Besides, the name Kana Arma is more or less known to the public. Now that she's left her agency and went freelance, her performance fee is dirt cheap, and we can still leverage her name recognition. But it's a pain in the ass that she's picky about the acting, though. This TV drama is nothing more than promotional material. We're not even asking for acting ability in the first place. It seems like she's the only one that hasn't picked up on that. Meaning that they're literally just using her for her name and her name alone. They don't give a shit if she can act well or not. They just want her for her name, and that's it. As we see that Aqua overheard the entire conversation. And it's here as he thinks about just how happy she was to be praised and brought in for her talents for once. He can't help but realize that that's not recognition. It's not. As he says, that's just the way of the world, Kana Arma. As we see, he ends up taking the director's cigarette butts because they have his DNA on them. And says, I've collected what I needed, so my goal here is already accomplished. But after seeing just how much this meant to her, this meant everything, he says, well, I'm already here, so I might as well go out with a bang. And with that, our episode ends. Guys, this is so good. Like I said at the beginning, how they took a character like Kana, who was just the most obnoxious ever, and made her just like a really relatable kind of character I love personally. That's crazy. This show is so good. It's so good. This show has everything. It feels like it's made for me specifically. How they really go into the entertainment industry. How we truly see the dark side of it. It's just great. And I'm having such a great time with it. And I hope you are too. I'm so excited for next week, guys. It's actually kind of wild. So let me know your thoughts on this episode down below. Oshi no Ko continues to kill it each and every week, and I love it. But until next time, guys, I hope you have a great day, week, month, and year. And until then, deuces, have a blessed day, and I'll see you guys next time.